Hey there and welcome back to Mass Effect 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our Mass Effect 2 Insanity walkthrough. Now, it has been a while since the last episode, but if you still remember, we investigated the derelict Reaper in that one. We obtained the Reaper IFF, which is currently being installed by Edie and the crew, and we also brought back an interesting Geth unit that apparently knows our name. Now, among other things, today we will take a closer look at that Geth. Before we do though, let's quickly head over to the tech lab to take care of a few research projects. First of all, we will grab another shotgun damage upgrade here. It is displayed here as the 5th of 5, but we should actually have another one waiting for us in the lair of the Shadow Broker, so at some point down the line we should also pay Liara a quick visit. For now though, we can continue with the sniper rifle damage upgrade. And same deal here, the delivery pickup inside of the Shadow Broker's lair will eventually give us one more than is displayed here. We are not done yet though, because under prototypes we can also find the 6th and apparently final heavy skin weave upgrade. However, there is actually a 7th one available, even though the lair of the Shadow Broker is not involved for a change. Now, with all of these upgrades out of the way, we can now head over to the CIC and enjoy a few lines of dialogue from Kelly Chambers, who of course has taken notice of the Geth we brought back earlier.
We have a Geth down in the AI core? It makes me a little uneasy. I hope you don't activate him. You would know best.
That'll be all.
Good luck out there, Shepard. Commander, you've received a new message at your private terminal.
And after listening to Kelly's opinion, we can now also get some input from the Elusive Man, who is, somewhat understandably I think, not terribly excited to hear that we brought a Geth back on board, but who nonetheless trusts us to make the right decision. And while that is perhaps reassuring, he is of course not the one to dictate how we do things. I would say that the Normandy's crew might be a bit more important in that regard. Speaking of which, let's make a quick stop over with Edie and Joker in the cockpit, just to get a sense of what's going on over in this part of the ship.
Commander.
I assume everything is going well up here?
Quiet enough. What the...
Trouble?
No, it's nothing. Son of a... Very funny, Edie. Real original. Stop it.
You did insist on manual control, Mr. Moreau.
That's it for now.
See you, Commander.
The crew is still working to get the Reaper IFF installed, Shepard. It is more complicated than I first anticipated. I will alert you once the system is ready for shakedown. Is there anything else I can do for you?
That's all for now.
Logging you out, Shepard.
Okay, so it appears we do indeed have a bit of time here. Until the IFF is installed, we can't really proceed with the game's main storyline, which now leaves us with the opportunity to take care of a few other small quests first.
Commander, you might want to speak with Tali. She seems very worried about something.
And as Kelly here is already mentioning, Tali might have one of those quests for us. Before we talk to her though, let's first take care of that Geth that is currently housing in the Normandy's AI server room. And since this is the first time we're entering this room, we can also have Edie tell us a bit more about where we are.
What's this area of the ship?
This is the AI core room, where my higher functions are housed.
You're not mobile, are you? You can't get out of here?
I have minimal access to the ship's systems. Direct landlines allow me to interface with the security monitors and public address system. In combat, I am provided temporary access to the electronic warfare systems.
And here we are. The Geth that we brought back from the derelict Reaper is apparently still inactive, but as you can imagine, in this state it is no use to us, so let's activate it and find out more.
Ted Hut! I'm turning this thing back on. Be ready. Aye aye.
I have isolated our systems and erected additional firewalls. I am prepared to resist any hacking attempt.
Can you understand me?
Yes.
Are you going to attack me?
No.
Right, so we can begin this conversation with 2 renegade points, if we casually point out that our previous experiences with the Geth were all a little different.
Every Geth I met before you tried to blow my head off.
We have not met.
No, you and I haven't. But I've met other Geth.
We are all Geth, and we have not met you. You are Shepherd, Commander, Alliance, Human, fought heretics, killed by collectors, rediscovered on the old machine.
And of course, there are many questions to ask throughout this conversation. And let's start with these 2 here, which should also shed a bit more light onto why this Geth is so familiar with us.
Old machine? You mean the Reaper?
Reaper, a superstitious title originating with the Protheans. We call those entities the old machines.
You seem to know an awful lot about me.
Extranet data sources, insecure broadcasts, all organic data sent out is received. We watch you.
You watch me or you watch organics?
Yes.
Which?
Both.
Now, to continue the conversation, we will proceed once again with the renegade choice, which might be a bit aggressive, yes, but considering the overall novelty of the situation, I feel like Shepard deserves to be a little cautious.
I fight Geth. You do anything hostile, I blow you to pieces. Just so we're clear.
We have no hostility towards you.
Sure didn't seem that way at Eden Prime and the Citadel.
You fought heretics, not true Geth. Geth build our own future. The heretics asked the old machines to give them the future. They are no longer part of us. We were studying the old machines' hardware to protect our future.
And once again, we can learn a bit more about the Geth here, about their plans and how they potentially involve both the Reapers and us.
What future are the Geth building?
Ours.
Will anyone else be affected by whatever it is you're doing?
If they involve themselves, they will.
Are the Reapers a threat to you, too?
Yes.
Why would they attack other machines?
We are different from them, outside their plans.
So you aren't allied with the Reapers?
We oppose the heretics. We oppose the old machines. Shepherd Commander opposes the old machines. Shepherd Commander opposes the heretics. Cooperation furthers mutual goals.
So, here we now have a Paragon choice available to us, which we will of course pick, because it looks like cooperation is on the table here, and who would we be to decline a potential ally?
Are you asking to join us?
Yes.
Then what should I call you?
Geth.
I mean you, specifically.
We are all Geth.
What is the individual in front of me called?
There is no individual. We are Geth. There are currently 1,183 programs active within this platform.
My name is Legion, for we are many.
And Edie here does make a solid suggestion. Let's go with the name Legion and also earn 2 more Paragon points in the process.
Well, that seems appropriate.
Christian Bible, the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, verse 9. We acknowledge this is an appropriate metaphor. We are Legion, a terminal of the Geth. We will integrate into Normandy. We anticipate the exchange of data.
And there we go. Legion is now part of the Normandy's crew, and with that we have not only gained a Codex entry, 4 Paragon and 4 Renegade points, but we have also recruited the last available squad member in the game. And of course, there is more to learn about Legion and the Geth, so let's jump right into the next conversation.
Shepherd Commander.
I have questions about the Geth.
Specify.
We can now learn about Geth's speech, how they govern themselves, and about their relationship with Sovereign, so let's do all of that before we then move on to upgrades for the Normandy.
I'm surprised you can speak. The Geth I fought before just made a stuttering sound.
We prefer direct digital transfer. Geth network communication travels at light speed. Human hardware does not support this method. Your analog oral communication is inefficient.
Do Geth have a government?
Not as you understand. We are all Geth. We build consensus.
Most governments do.
Organic governments impose consensus. From a single point of view in autocracies. By codifying the most broadly acceptable average of views in democracies.
So what makes the Geth different?
Data is shared between Geth. All viewpoints are considered. Consensus is achieved as data is disseminated.
That must take a long time.
It would for organics. We communicate at the speed of light.
Did Sovereign contact the Geth, or did you seek it out?
Nazara, the entity you called Sovereign, signaled us. Like the Geth, the old machine listened to organic radio transmissions. It knew of our war against the creators. Nazara contacted many species over the millennia, seeking allies.
What did you call Sovereign?
Nazara. That was what the programs within the Reaper called themselves. Sovereign was a title given by Saren Arterius. Saren and the heretics believed Nazara to be a supreme ruler, a sovereign.
Sovereign was one ship. You're saying there were multiple programs inside it?
One ship, one will, many minds, like the Geth. We study your records. Sovereign told you this on Ilos. We are each a nation, independent, free of all weakness. A state compelling to the Geth. We are a nation, but interdependent. Separation is our weakness.
Some of the Geth followed Sovereign. The heretics.
The heretics accepted their technology. The old machines offered to give us our future. The Geth will achieve their own future.
What difference does it make how you acquire a certain technology?
Technology is not a straight line. There are many paths to the same end. Accepting another's path blinds you to alternatives. Nazara, Sovereign, said this itself. Your civilization is based upon the technology of the mass relays, our technology. By using it, your society develops along the paths we desire.
Okay, so like most other squad members, Legion might also have ideas for useful upgrades, so let's ask about those and then wrap up the conversation for now.
We need every advantage if this mission is going to succeed. Is there any technology the Geth can share with us?
Limited co-development is approved. We need to access your FTL-COM system to download relevant data.
And of course, we will grant that access. A bit of trust seems necessary at this point, otherwise we won't benefit.
Edie, let Legion through the firewalls for a minute.
Very well, Shepard.
Now, the upgrade can be found under prototypes, and it is the Geth sniper rifle, which is in fact the same Widow sniper rifle that Shepard is also using, albeit a slightly less powerful version. Still, it is a good weapon for Legion, so let's unlock it right here and now. And that concludes our talks with Legion, at least for the moment. Up next, we will finally complete the packages for Ish side quest that we have been postponing for what feels like forever. And to continue with that, we of course need to access the galaxy map.
Commander, you might want to speak with Tali. She seems very worried about something.
Once again, Kelly reminds us of Tali's desire to speak with us, and don't worry, that will also happen in today's episode. But first, we have to travel to Illium, where the second of the two data packages is located. Now, for our squad, we will take the interesting combination of Legion and Tali, a Geth and a Quarian, and a squad that we will see a bit more of down the line. Now, Shepard can finally unlock Inferno ammo thanks to the last level up, and we will even be able to get 1 point in concussive shot later with the next and last one. With Tali, we have 5 points to spend that we will save for now, while Legion has not received any powers yet, so let's start by maxing out and evolving AI hacking. And we're going with the improved version over Aria AI hacking. I generally find that to be more useful, especially if it's used on high-profile targets like Geth Hunters, Destroyers or Primes. We are of course also maxing out the class ability Geth Infiltrator, which gives Legion more health and weapon damage, as well as reduced power recharge time. For the ability evolution, we are then doubling down on damage output with Geth Assassin. This is what we have done for pretty much all of our squad members, and so far it has worked very well. Now, weapon choice does not matter at all for this short trip, so let's get right to it and complete a few final to-dos here on Illium.
Perhaps you need to explore other options.
Up first, we can get a few lines of dialogue from both Legion and Tali before we then continue with a quick purchase.
Very few Quarians ever set foot here. Illium doesn't allow the flotilla to approach beyond a certain distance. This is the greatest planet in the galaxy for those who can afford it, and they work hard to keep the Quarian fleet away.
The trade of organics is proscribed on worlds you term civilized. Yet none of you question the limited freedom Edie is allowed aboard Normandy.
There is one last item that we still haven't bought at this kiosk, and it is the rather expensive tech damage upgrade for 75,000 credits. I honestly don't think that we really need it at this point, but for the sake of completion we will of course grab it anyway.
I'll take it.
Now at this point, maybe a quick refresher on the packages for Ish quest. A while back, the Solarian Ish approached us on Omega and asked us to pick up packages for him, located on the Citadel and here on Illium. Since we had Jacob with us during the conversation, we quickly learned that Ish is a less than trustworthy individual, but for now we have done as we've been told and grabbed the first package from the Citadel. Now, the second package is located right here in the Eternity Bar, and just like the first one, the information in this package refers to Anto, one of the bodyguards of Aria to Loke. So at this point it is not entirely unlikely that Ish is selling this information to someone who might want to harm Aria, especially since the wording here suggests that Anto is being bribed to keep certain things out of Aria's reach. Now, so far we have no issues with Aria, so there is no reason to sell her out or to continue to keep her in the dark about this, but then again Ish would probably be paying a decent amount of money if we bring the packages back. For now, let's not worry too much about how we're going to approach the situation. Instead, let's fast forward until we reach the cargo bay and shipping area, because we do have 2 more purchases to make. Before we spend more hard-earned credits though, let's listen in to a rather interesting conversation over here.
Okay, listen, give Thax a full refund, do you hear me? He knows, I don't know how, it doesn't matter. Credit him a full refund now, and then get your ass someplace safe.
Now, this is actually the aftermath of the Stolen Goods Found side quest that we completed as part of Samara's recruitment mission, and in which we told the Krogan Thax that someone was stealing from him, and it looks like we just found one of the people involved. Now, to complete our trip to Illium, we can now spend another 75,000 credits and purchase a damage protection upgrade, before we then make our way over to the Memories of Illium shop, where we can buy a model of the Kodiak shuttle. And apart from one more, we now actually have acquired all available ship models in the entire game, for which there is unfortunately no achievement whatsoever. So all that is left to do now is to fast forward ourselves back to the Normandy. We are a little low on funds now with just over 3,000 credits, but we have emptied out all shops on Illium and we have acquired both packages for Ish, so our next stop will be Omega, where we have to make a decision. And here we are, back on board. However, we will jump right back into the galaxy map and begin our trip to Omega immediately. Now, our squad will consist of Miranda and Jacob this time, since they both have a history with Ish. However, neither one of them has enough squad points to grab any worthwhile upgrades, and once again, weapon selection also does not matter for this one, so let's get going. We can find Ish in the exact same spot where he gave us the quest in the first place, right around the corner here, in front of the entrance to the marketplace.
Hello again, my friends. Please tell me you have something for me.
Now, before we make our decision, let's first confront him about the rather interesting nature of the data. Perhaps he can offer an explanation why he's gathering intel on Aria's bodyguard.
Have you seen what's in these packages?
Why? Did you find something untoward? Certainly nothing worth getting worked up about.
And we can press him even further here, because at least to me it looks like he knows more than he pretends.
This information could weaken Aria's organization. You better be sure it's safe before you take it anywhere.
I'm touched. Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
He's been doing this a long time.
I bet Mr. Anto would be very interested in this information, and in finding out who wanted it.
You wouldn't. Would you? It's not for me. A lot of people want a leg up on Aria, and they'll pay a lot of credits to get it.
I knew you were up to something.
Right, so at this point it is tempting to make Ish give up on his endeavor by using the charm or intimidate option. However, in my opinion, a better combination of morality points, XP and credits can be obtained if we don't do that, and instead just pick one of the options on the right.
You're lucky I'm in a good mood.
I can see it now, my friend. You are not one to be trifled with. Shall we return to business?
This brings us back to the point where we can decide whether or not to give Ish the packages, and we're not going to do that. Aria has been good to us so far, and again, in terms of rewards, there is a better strategy available in my opinion.
I'll have to come back later.
Of course. You know where to find me.
So, as you might have been able to guess, we are now heading into the Afterlife Club to confront Anto, Aria's bodyguard, who was explicitly mentioned in both data packages. Maybe he can offer us something worthwhile if we make sure the obtained information does not fall into the wrong hands.
What?
And we will be straightforward with him here. There is no point in beating around the bush, I think.
Do you know a Solarian named Ish?
I know of him.
He's collecting information about you. Plans to sell it to the highest bidder.
I have no secrets.
None at all? Take a look at this data.
What? Where did you get this? This is privileged information.
So at this point we want to pick the charm dialogue option, as it is the only dialogue option in this entire quest that gives us Paragon points. On the other hand, giving the packages to Ish is considered the renegade path.
This could hurt Aria, couldn't it?
It would be bad for me, yes. But Aria, no.
One of her lieutenants being involved in this shows a big flaw in her organization.
What do you want from me?
Now, here we want to pick the option at the bottom. In certain guides for the game, it is actually said that the option at the top gives 5 additional Paragon points, but that is false. Just like the info, by the way, that asking Anto for a bit of money in exchange for our services gives renegade points. That is also not the case, but this option is the only way to obtain some credits from him, so let's go with it. From what we know, the process should be familiar to him.
I'm feeling awfully talkative, especially around Aria.
This ought to do it. Now get out of my sight and don't go looking for Ish. You won't find him. Thank you for the heads up, human.
That's kind of harsh, even if Ish does deserve it.
And that's it. With that, we have completed the last remaining assignment in the game. All that is left now is one more DLC, of course, the grand finale of the main storyline, and loyalty missions. Speaking of which, we have now been reminded numerous times that Tali wishes to speak to us, so let's head back to the Normandy to finally get that conversation started.
Commander, you might want to speak with Tali. She seems very worried about something.
And yes, at this point I think we got the message. Let's take the elevator now to head over to engineering and talk to Tali.
The new armor reinforcements really threw off the gravimetric profiles, but engines are good to go. I rebalanced the Gilborn coefficients and adjusted the anterior intakes on the second-tier stabilizers.
I love it when you talk dirty.
Our 2 engineers provide a bit of dialogue as well, but who we're really after is Tali and whatever seems to be bothering her.
Shepard, I'm glad you came by. I may need your help. I just received a message from the migrant fleet. The Admiralty Board has accused me of treason. I'm scared, Shepard.
Okay, so that is certainly an issue. Let's ask a few questions first, though, before we decide how to deal with this situation.
Is it because you're working with Cerberus?
I'm not working with Cerberus. I'm working with you. And I got leave to serve on the Normandy again. I have no idea what they're accusing me of. You'd think I would remember if I betrayed the fleet.
Nobody who knows you could believe you betray your people, Tali.
I don't know. They don't lay charges like this unless the evidence seems absolute. But thanks. I appreciate your faith in me, Shepard.
What happens when a Quarian is accused of treason?
There's a hearing, with members of the Admiralty Board acting as judges. My father is an admiral on the board. He'll have to recuse himself from judgment. I can't even imagine what he's thinking right now. The punishment for treason is exile. If they convict me, I can never go back.
And we can learn even more about how the Quarians deal with traitors among their own, which is actually pretty interesting, although of course not really improving Tali's situation.
So you have no idea why they're accusing you?
None. The specifics of charges like this are rarely discussed on open channels. I won't know any more until I get to the flotilla.
How often is someone from the fleet charged with treason?
It's rare. It must be something that affects the entire flotilla, not just one ship. The most recent one was Anora Vanya Vasilani, an engineer who handed over fleet defense schematics to the Batarians. She had good intentions. The Batarians were contracted to upgrade our systems, but they passed the defense schematics to a pirate gang.
Was she convicted?
No. She made a suicide run on the pirate gang. She destroyed them before they could attack the fleet. She was pardoned posthumously. Let's hope I don't have to prove my innocence that way.
What happens if you're convicted?
Like I said, exile. The specifics are up to the judges. If it's deemed only a tragic mistake in judgment, the guilty party might receive a small ship and supplies. Not that it really matters. Either way, if I'm convicted, I'll never see the migrant fleet again.
So no prison and no death penalty?
We don't have the spare resources for long-term incarceration. Monitored work detail is more effective. And we don't have enough people to afford executions. An exile can still have children, and those children are welcomed back to the fleet.
So how does the trial work? How soon do we need to get you there?
They'll wait a reasonable period of time for me to come and defend myself. Eventually, if I don't show up, they'll try me in absentia. As for how it works, it's less formal than an Earth trial or something you'd see on the Citadel. We're family. This is just the worst kind of family meeting.
And you guessed it, we will of course help Tali out and begin her loyalty mission now. As commander of the Normandy, we might be able to influence the outcome of the trial at least a little bit.
Okay, let's go find the flotilla.
I was going to book passage on another ship. I didn't think there would be time for you to help. Thank you, Shepard. I'll program the Normandy with the flotilla's current location. The admirals will be waiting for us.
And that is how we will continue our playthrough with the second to last loyalty mission of the game. Now, we have waited quite some time to tackle it because I wanted to recruit Legion first. You will see why in the next episode. For now, we can head back to the CIC and fire up the galaxy map. Tali has given us the location of the Quarian migrant fleet, and that unlocks a few new systems to survey, which we can get done pretty quickly before we jump into the mission itself. After refueling the Normandy, our first stop in the Valhallan threshold is the Mica system, a system that only contains 2 gas giants and a few large asteroids. And we are starting with the gas giant Duma, home to 51 moons, but unfortunately not harboring a ton of minerals, so scanning work should be done elsewhere. For example, on the asteroid Israfil, which actually houses a small population in a laboratory, and which offers vast amounts of iridium, as well as a small element 0 deposit. The second gas giant's Elohi, on the other hand, is once again fairly unremarkable. Yes, there is some pirate activity in the area, but that is only one more reason to stay away, as minerals can only be found in sparse amounts. And that only leaves us with 2 more asteroids to go, the first one being Farlas. This one does not house a population, but there are some Quarian mining ships in its orbit, and with good reason. Iridium can be found in large quantities here, and there is also another small element 0 deposit. Finally then, we go to Kakabel, which comes with a very similar mineral structure, lots of iridium and a bit of element 0, but sadly no interesting backstory. Now that concludes the Mica system, and the Pass system is also a brief affair, since only the planet Garvuk exists here. That one has an intriguing history though, and a Krogan population as well, not to mention minerals of every kind. And that is all there is to do for now. Our next stop will now be the Quarian migrant fleet. It remains to be seen how serious the accusations against Tali really are and what we can do to perhaps help her case, but all of that will have to wait until the next episode. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, then I would of course be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then feel free to subscribe if you haven't done so already, grab some merch over at shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.